friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And Happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2022. I hope everyone enjoyed their celebration. You had a good night, good day, whatever you decided to do. I hope you had a lot of fun and you're feeling ready to take on the new year. And I wish you nothing but health and happiness, joy, all the good stuff going forward. We've had a tough couple of years behind us, and I know we're in a bit of a pickle right now, but I think this is going to be the year where hopefully we see some light at the end of the tunnel, get back to some sense of normalcy, and we all get through it together. But what I have for you today, as promised, is my top 10 list for my favorite films of 2021. I have 5 honorable mentions, and then I have 10 films that I picked that were my favorites for the ones that I've seen, and I'm going to go over that. But I just wanted to take a minute before I start the list, and I just wanted to acknowledge, as I'm sure you all know, that we lost Betty White on the morning of New Year's Eve, which was just a few weeks shy of her 100th birthday, which that's mind-blowing to me. 100 years. And she lived life to the fullest, and she has such an amazing career behind her. She has left us with so much material that we can continue to enjoy her, and she may be gone from the world, but she is never forgotten because her work is left behind. And she was just a treasure. We call her a national treasure, but I believe she was just a world treasure because she was loved around the world, and she brought so much happiness and laughter to so many people for so many decades. And there's a lot of really nice tributes, video tributes to her life and her career online. So maybe to pay your respects, take a minute and just watch one of those videos and kind of reflect on her a little bit, send some good vibes out into the universe. But she did some amazing things. I mean, I just found out that she was a Guinness World Record holder for, I think it's longest female TV career. It was something like 79 or 80 years when they gave it to her, but just some amazing accomplishments she had besides being just an amazing person and just, like I said, a bright light who brought joy to everyone that she touched. And she will definitely be missed. So with that being said, may she rest in peace, and we're going to get into the top 10 list. And what I want to let you know before I get into this and before everybody starts having a fit in the comments, I have not seen the new Spider-Man. I have Justice League, but I have not watched it yet. I haven't seen the new Ghostbusters, and I haven't seen Licorice Pizza. So those are ones that probably maybe would have shown up on my list somewhere, but since I haven't seen them, that's why they're not there. They're not being ignored. I'm going to watch all of them, just haven't seen them yet. So I'm going to start with my honorable mentions, and this first one is an Edgar Wright documentary. I had talked about it in a weekend watch video, and it's called The Sparks Brothers. It's a documentary. It is brilliantly presented by Edgar Wright. It's kind of got some animation in it. It's got conversations, like sit and talk conversations with their friends, people that worked with them, the brothers themselves. I mean, and they are like this underrated, under the radar band, but they have contributed so much. And this is just an amazing documentary. So whether you like documentaries or not, I think you'll like this one. And it had to be on my list somewhere, so I put it in the honorable mentions. And if you get a chance, definitely give this one a look because it is well worth your time. And this one was a great one. I really enjoyed this. It's done from the same people who did John Wick, and it stars Bob Odenkirk, and it is Nobody. I thought this was just so much fun. I talked about it when after I watched it, so I did like a mini review on it, but I just thought this was another one. It was a lot of fun. It just kind of missed being on my top 10, but really good. If you haven't seen Nobody, highly recommend this one as well. And this is such a divisive film, and the first time I saw it, I wasn't really sure how I felt about it. Wasn't crazy about it. Then I watched it again, and I realized that I kind of dozed off in more parts than I thought, because I watched it rather late at night and I was very tired. And after watching it a second time, I absolutely loved it. And I know people love it or they hate it, and it's Malignant. I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. I kind of saw the twist coming, but I thought it was well done and very reminiscent of like a basket case type of thing. It kind of reminded me of Basket Case a little bit. But if you haven't seen Malignant and you're a horror fan, definitely give it a look. Love it or hate it, give it a chance. It's a modern horror, and it's hard to find some good modern horror coming out, but I thought this was a good one. And like I said, some people love it, some people hate it. I don't think there's any middle ground with this one, but give it a shot. It's Malignant. And this one, this was so close to making my top 10. It just missed it, but this was put out by Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome has some partner labels now, and this is one of their partner labels. It's Utopia is the company, the studio, and it is Shiva Baby. I also talked about this one in a recent video, actually a pickups video, but this was really, really good. The dialogue is amazing, and the interactions between our main character and all the people. She's actually at a Shiva with her parents, and it's just like so cringe in moments, but really, really good stuff. And it kind of reminded me of Curb Your Enthusiasm, the writing style, not the story itself, but the writing style. But I thought it was really good and definitely worth your time. It's a quick one. It's like 79 minutes, but there's a lot that happens in that 79 minutes. So if you haven't seen Shiva Baby, again, I highly recommend this one, and it just missed the top 10, but really, really good stuff. And my last one, I talked about this one too. This was one that a lot of people kind of overlooked at first, but I think word got out like on Instagram and some other social platforms, and then people started picking it up. It stars Mads Mikkelsen, and it is Riders of Justice. And I talked about this one as well in a pickups video. There's an accident that takes place involving his wife and daughter, and they are looking for justice from the, against the people who killed his wife and his daughter. And this is an amazing movie. It's a very layered movie. There are some dark comedy moments in it, but it also kind of takes some twists and turns, and it is a lot more than it would appear at the beginning. And that's all I can say without ruining it. Give Riders of Justice a chance, because it is well worth your time to give it a watch. So those are my 5 honorable mentions, and I am going to grab my top 10 and we'll get this list rolling. Okay, my friends, I'm back and I have my top 10. I have 6 physical copies, and then there's 4 that I watched on streaming that may or may not become available on physical, and I'll do them last. These are in no particular order, as usual, because that's how I roll. And the first one is stars Nicolas Cage, and it is Pig. And this was all the rage when it came out, and not surprised, because Nicolas Cage gives probably a performance of his career in this one. He plays a guy who lives out in the woods with a truffle pig. They hunt for truffles. And within the first, he's a recluse. He doesn't deal with anyone except for the one young guy who comes to pick up the truffles and from him, and he takes him to these fancy restaurants in the city, which I believe is Los Angeles. And very early on, in the early minutes of the movie, his pig is stolen. And he enlists the help of the young man because he doesn't have a car, and he says, "You have to take me, I have to find my pig." And as he goes looking for his pig, we follow him on his journey, and it is as much a physical journey as an emotional journey, and we learn about his life and how he has become the person he is today, and why it is that he's living the way he lives. It is an emotionally heavy story, but it is so good. Definitely a slower burn movie, but it is well worth it, and the payoff is huge. So can't recommend it enough. I'm a huge fan of Nicolas Cage's performance in this one, and he's just shown us that he's still got it. So it had to be on my list somewhere, and that's Pig. And this next one, I don't normally put films like this on my best of the year, but this one, I don't know, it got me. I love it. I had so much fun with it, and it really surprised me. It took me by surprise how much I enjoyed it, and that is The Suicide Squad. And this film did great. I mean, it was very well received. It didn't have a great lead-in because the last Suicide Squad movie was not very well received, but this one was great. The characters were great. The storyline was fun. There was a lot of action. There was a great presentation overall, and the 4K looks amazing. For the amount of CGI that it had in it, it's almost reference quality. It really looks good. And we all love Sylvester Stallone as the big shark, and I forget what it's called. Tell me in the comments the shark's name. I forget. But this is so much fun. I could watch this any day, anytime. And even if you don't like Harley Quinn, you might like her in this one. She was pretty cool. But I had a lot of fun with this one. It's a lot of laughs. It's R-rated. It's definitely an adult movie. It's not for kids. So yeah, if you haven't seen The Suicide Squad and you just want to put your feet up and have a good time, definitely give it a look. And had to make my top 10. And this one was really hard to grab when it came out because it was in very short supply. It's readily available now, but it's Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Jodie Comer, and Ben Affleck in The Last Duel. And this takes place in France in the 1300s. And basically, Matt Damon and Adam Driver, they kind of start out as friends, but then they become very competitive with each other, and Adam Driver is very much the favorite. Ben Affleck plays a guy who represents the king, and he kind of takes Adam Driver under his wing and favors him and, you know, gives him all the perks of being the favorite. And Matt Damon is just, he's got like this anger boiling up inside him, and you can see that he's feeling very, very put off to the side when he thinks he's the better person to represent the king. And he marries, Matt Damon marries the character that Jodie Comer plays, Jodie Comer. I knew I said her name wrong. Jodie Comer. And while Matt Damon is away, she accuses Adam Driver of a sexual assault, which is not something that was done at that time. Women didn't speak up about those types of things. So what this movie is people thought it was going to be all action. This is very much a drama. We see the same story told three different ways. We see Matt Damon's view of the story, version of the story. We see Adam Driver's version of the story. And then we see what they say is the truth. Because this is based on true events. And there's a very high price to pay for this young woman if her story is not proven to be true. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. And if you want the action, it really is in the last 20 minutes. And it is action. It's really, really good. But from beginning to end, I thought, oh, you see the same story three different ways, it's going to be boring. It was fantastic. So, so good. I loved every minute of this. The Last Duel had to be on my list. And this next one, this was out earlier in the year, and this is, again, based on true events, and it's called Judas and the Black Messiah. We start out, we have a guy who gets in trouble with the FBI, and basically he is given the option of working for the FBI and infiltrating the Black Panthers, giving them the information that they want because they're trying to build a case against a rising star in the Illinois chapter of the Black Panthers, or he's going to go to jail forever after. And he takes the deal, he infiltrates the Black Panthers, and then there's this conflict within him, and we follow him on his story. And this is a very, very important story that everyone should see, and it's definitely a tough watch, and it's eye-opening, and that's what I want to say about it. But if you haven't seen Judas and the Black Messiah, definitely take the time to watch it, because it's really important that we all know stories like this. And again, like I said, based on true events. So had to make my list because it stars Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, who both gave awesome performances. Now this next one, I thought this was a 2020 movie. I think it was, the physical was put out in 2021, but I'm seeing it on everybody and on quite a few 2021 lists, and it was so impactful on me that I decided to include it on my 2021 best of list, and it is called 9 Days. And our main character, Winston Duke, you also have Bill Skarsgård is also in this, but Winston Duke plays a guy who lives out in a house. He spends his days in a remote outpost watching the live point of view on televisions of people going about their lives until someone perishes, and this leaves a vacancy for a new life on Earth. So what happens is when someone dies, when he sees that someone has died on the televisions, a number of people are gathered and they are brought to this house for 9 days. And they have 9 days to prove to him why they should be given an opportunity to go back and fill that vacancy, which means continue to live a new life, live a full life. If they don't meet whatever his criteria for that position are, they are done and they are moved on to, they're perished, they die. So this is an amazing film. It is so creative. It is so well done. It is so emotional. You will feel every emotion, because you don't want to see any of these guys fail, guys and gals. You don't want to see any of them fail because it means they're going to die. But yet you want to know, how do you get on? What is it that it takes to move on, to continue to live your life? And it's not what you would expect. And there are things that you would think are strengths that are weaknesses, things that you would think would make someone weaker, and he actually sees them as a strength. And also during the process, a mirror is kind of held up in front of his face, and he learns as much, maybe more, about himself than the people that are in the house. And this, it's an emotional gut punch of a movie, and it's about life and living and dying and emotions, and everything you can think of is in this movie. And it just rocked me. It was so, so good. It was one of the best movies I've seen in a very, very long time. So if you haven't seen 9 Days, I highly recommend it. And I told my friend John from Plaid X2, I don't cry in movies. I cried at the end of this one. So that ought to tell you something. 9 Days. It's a good one. And this is the last one that I have a physical copy of. The reason I have a physical copy is because this is a French import, because I really like the artwork on the steelbook. We get our copies here in the States on January 11th, and that is 2021's Dune, and it stars a host of characters, including Timothée Chalamet. And I went into this totally blind and knew nothing about it, didn't see the other movies, nothing. But I thought this was fantastic. I loved everything about it. I thought the cinematography was gorgeous. I thought the set design was gorgeous. I loved the costumes. I loved the story, the whole vibe of the movie, the score from Hans Zimmer. I thought it was amazing. And you basically have this, it's about the main crux of the story, if you don't know, is about a son who's born into a wealthy family, and they have to go to this other planet to protect this a very, very important resource that they need to make sure that they have control over. And that's what I'm going to tell you. But it kind of had like a Star Wars vibe to it, which I really liked. And I just thought it was amazing. And I'm so happy to hear that they've signed on for a Dune 2. So we have more to look forward to, because the way they ended it, you could definitely see that they have places to go with this story. And I can't wait to see how the characters develop, where they go, if they create other worlds, and, you know, what they do with it. But Dune was just, it was amazing. Now, I saw it on streaming. I just got this, so I haven't watched the 4K physical disc yet, but I can't wait to check out the 4K physical disc and see how it looks. And I will be picking up one of the formats of the 4K that is coming to the States here on January 11th. I think we're getting a steelbook and a regular slipcover release, so I'll pick up one of those. So Dune was the next one to make my list. Now, I have my list, my list here of things that I watched on streaming that made my top 10, and I'll try and put the poster art here. Maybe I'll put it here. I don't know, probably here. But we all know how wonderful my editing skills are, so it could be half the picture that shows up. I don't know. Don't hold it against me. The first one is, it's a new A24 film. It is called Come On, Come On. It stars Joaquin Phoenix, and he is contacted. It's in black and white. It is a beautifully presented film. It's a beautifully shot film. I loved everything about it. I love modern films that are shot in black and white. I just think that is such a great artistic decision to make. But he is contacted by his sister, who he's kind of not in contact with. They don't speak a lot. Some things have happened, some family issues that have happened, and she needs his help. She has a young son, and she needs him to come and watch her son so that she can care for her kind of estranged husband who is bipolar, and he needs her help. She's trying to get him into some kind of care so that he can be in her son's life. So Joaquin Phoenix, he said, yep, I'll go and I'll watch him. He is also doing a documentary. He's a radio broadcaster, and he's working with this film crew doing a documentary where they go and they interview young people about different things. And between the two stories, him interacting and learning how to deal with this little, like, 9-year-old boy who is very smart. The little guy is very smart, and he's a scene stealer in every scene he's in. And trying to do his work, and what you hear from the young people that he interviews, you put those two together, it's an amazing movie, because you're hearing how young people see the world, and then you're seeing this guy who's not used to dealing with a kid who's probably got more insight into real life than he does. But it is such a beautifully crafted movie, and it's one that you can watch over and over and over again, because like I said, there's like it's actually two stories put into one. And it's just a masterpiece. I was blown away by it. I couldn't believe how good it was. Joaquin Phoenix brings his A game, as we would expect. He's fantastic in this movie. And like I said, the little boy who plays his nephew is amazing. He's such a smart little kid, and he's a really good actor. So if you have a chance to see Come On, Come On, Hopefully A24 will put it out on physical. I would think they would, but I streamed it because I didn't want to miss it. So that one's on my list. And the next one is called Tick, Tick, Boom. And it is the story of Jonathan Larson, who, if you don't know, was the writer of the Broadway musical Rent. But this takes place before he wrote Rent. And it is a musical. And it tells the story of his life as he's about to turn 30, but he is this struggling artist. He is trying so hard to write this musical, not Rent, another one. He's trying to write this musical, and it is what he goes through and what so many artists go through to do what they love. He's working these jobs. He works in a diner. He's doing something that he can't stand, and then he's going home at night and he's writing songs and jingles and musicals and lyrics for his musical, and he's trying to get somebody to give him the fund, help him get the funding to get this thing produced. But it is an amazing story, and just his life alone, it's an amazing story. And Andrew Garfield plays him, and he does a fantastic job. Let me tell you, people didn't like him as Spider-Man. Spider-Man can sing. I actually looked it up to see if he was doing all the singing. He's amazing. He started out in theater. He actually loves theater, and he is so talented. So Andrew Garfield was a home run, and he did such a great job of showing us Jonathan Larson's life, and really good stuff. And it, like I said, it takes place before Rent, and Rent ended up being like this huge sensation that ran so long on Broadway and then eventually became a movie. But really good stuff. And again, I don't think I've ever had a musical on my top 10 list, so there's a lot of firsts on this one, but that had to make my list as well. And the next one is Last Night in Soho, which is the second film. The first film from Edgar Wright was the Sparks Brothers. This is my second Edgar Wright film. And I thought this was fantastic. This is it's like a thriller, drama, romance, horror, all kind of mixed together. And what we have is it takes place in present day. This girl is she's like a designer, and she takes a room at a house, and she kind of sublets this room. And all of a sudden she finds out that when she goes to sleep at night, she can transport herself back to the 1960s. And I know it sounds weird, and it is weird in the beginning. But what happens is she sees, she goes into this place and she sees these dancers and she thinks they're so beautiful and amazing, and things aren't quite what they seem. And then the movie just takes this really dark turn. And by the end of it, you're into like this full-on horror movie. And that's the best way I can explain it. So it's kind of like this supernatural horror movie with different kinds of romance and thriller elements in it. Just see it. It's fantastic. It's amazing. By the end of it, I was like, wow. That just kind of came out of nowhere at me. So I thought that was just amazing. So Last Night in Soho, it's coming out, I believe it's coming out January 18th on physical. And I can't wait to watch it on 4K because I saw it on streaming. It looked great, but there's so many special effects and different things. It'll be amazing on 4K if they do it right. Hopefully they'll do it right. And my last one, it's the newest Jane Campion film. Jane Campion is a fantastic director from New Zealand. I believe she's living in Australia now, but she's originally from New Zealand, and she is well represented in the Criterion Collection. I've talked about her films before. She did a film, her first film was Sweetie. She did An Angel at My Table, which is the life story, a biopic about Janet Frame, a writer. She has a movie called Piano, which is coming on 4K to the Criterion Collection, I believe in February, but I've seen it on the Blu-ray. And then this one is on Netflix, so you can stream this one on Netflix right now. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, and it's called The Power of the Dog. And basically what it is they have these two brothers and they're ranchers. It's in, I believe, the 1930s or 1940s in Montana. They're ranchers, and Benedict Cumberbatch plays this guy. His name is Phil, and his brother takes a wife, and the wife was a widow, and she has a son. And the son is he's kind of effeminate, a little, he's tall and skinny and quiet, and, Phil is like a big, rough, tough cowboy type of guy, and he starts to pick on the kid. He's aggressive towards the kid. He picks on him. He makes fun of him. And he's also bothering his brother's wife. When the brother goes off and does other business, he's tormenting the wife. So he's tormenting this family. And some different things happen, and I don't really want to get into it. And the story, it starts out very, very slow. The cinematography is gorgeous. It is a beautifully shot movie, as all her movies are. Jane Campion is an amazing director who knows how to shoot a beautiful movie, and this one is just gorgeous. And what ends up happening is it starts out as this slow, almost like a character study of the main guy, Phil, and his interactions with other people. And it takes this really weird but very important turn, and it'll get you. Just watch it. It's so good. It is so worth it. Like I said, I know it's a little slow. It's a Western. Not going to be for everybody, but if you can hang with it, the payoff is huge. And that is what I'm going to say about it. Just watch it. It's so, so good. And so brilliantly directed from Jane Campion, and you just have to watch it. So those are my 10 top favorite films for 2021. I know your lists are probably completely different than mine, so let me know in the comments what were your favorite films of 2021. I want to thank you as always for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments, recommendations, suggestions. Tell me your top 10. Give me 5. Tell me movies I should watch that I haven't seen. If you like these kind of videos and reviews and lists and all of that collection videos, consider subscribing and hit the bell notification so you know when I upload. And I think my next video is going to be my favorite pickups for 2021, and then I'm going to get back into my collection videos, and we'll talk about that another time, probably at the end of the week. But that's it for today. So again, I want to thank you guys for being here, and again, Happy New Year. Back to work tomorrow, so I'm going to go and take my puppies out and have some dinner. And for now, that's a wrap.